Welcome to EPG Pathsala. I am Amiteshwar Jha, Director Research, Indian Institute of Research and Numismatic Studies, Anjaneri, Nasik. The subject is Indian culture. The paper is Indian numismatics. And today's module is Western Kshatrapa coinage and an overview. The Western Kshatrapas ruled in Western India from about 1st century AD to 5th century AD and issued a continuous series of silver coins along with coins in base metal, and these are very important coins in Indian numismatic history, and we are going to learn about them. The objective of today's talk is to familiarize the students with a series of coins that was struck in Western India continuously for a period of about 400 years or even slightly more, from about 1st century CE to beginning of 5th century CE. It is, as I said, a very important series of coins that shows striking of silver coins in a period when silver coins in North India had actually ceased to be issued. This series is a very illustrative example for showing how the evidence of coins have been used for reconstructing the political history of the concerned dynasties, and hence students need to be familiar with it. Now I'll give a slight historical introduction about the dynasties concerned. The Western Kshatrapas or Kshatrap or Western satraps, as the Western numismatists prefer to call them, actually collectively refers to the rulers from a number of families who ruled primarily in Gujarat, Saurashtra, Malwa, parts of Maharashtra between 1st and 5th century CE. They're called Western because they ruled in the Western region, and actually to distinguish them from some other Kshatrap rulers of northwestern India and Mathura. And they're called Kshatrapas because they invariably use the titles Kshatrap and Mahakshatrap on their coins and in their inscriptions. The Western Kshatrap rulers were of Sak origin, though initially some people also argued that they might have been of Indo-Parthian or Indo-Scythian origin, but now it's generally accepted that they were of Sak origin. And they were contemporaneous with the Kushans, who ruled a very vast empire covering northern part of the Indian subcontinent and huge tracts of land in Central Asia. In the Deccan region, the Satvahans were also contemporaries of the early Kshatrapas. The Western Kshatraps were finally conquered by the powerful Guptas towards the end of 4th and beginning of 5th century CE, and that is when their rule ended. The term Kshatrap is probably of Persian origin. It was a title akin to governor, meaning protector of the land. In India, the title slowly changed its meaning. Initially, it might have implied vassalage or subordinate status to a higher power, but later the words Kshatrap along with Mahakshatrap were used by the Western Kshatrap rulers as royal titles along with some other titles like Raja and Swami. There were two main families or dynasties of the Western Kshatrap rulers. These are Chahratas and Kardamakas. The first of these was the Chahratas. Till very recently, only 3 rulers, namely Abhirak, Bhumak and Nahapan of this family were known, and another ruler whose name has been read as Horumunath on some recently published coins can now be added to this list. We do not know the exact relationship between these rulers, except for the fact that they all belong to the same family called Kshatrapa. Now we will see the coins of the first Kshatrapa ruler, Abhirak. These are copper coins, and they seem to be influenced by the Indo-Scythian and Indo-Parthian coins. These coins have winged Nike with Greek inscription, which has been reconstructed as Saharau, Satrapau, Obirakau on the obverse, and on the reverse they have a so-called lion and wheel, or it is also sometimes identified as plowshare and wheel standard, and an inscription in Brahmi which reads Chaharatas Kshatrapas Abhirakasa Jayatasa. The first two rulers, Abhirak and Bhumak, issued coins only in base metal or cheap metal like copper, lead, and sometimes copper-lead alloy. Coins of Abhirak are, as I said, clearly inspired by the Indo-Scythian and Indo-Parthian coinage. By his coin type, he appears to have been related to the Indo-Parthian coins of the Gondopharid rulers of the early 1st century CE. What was the relationship between Abhirak and the next Kshatrapa ruler Bhumak? We frankly do not know. But what is certain is that Abhirak was immediately followed by Bhumak, which is proved by the fact that coins of Abhirak have been found that are actually overstruck or counterstruck by Bhumak. As you can see, this is actually a coin of Abhirak on which Bhumak has overstruck his own devices. The devices of Bhumak are actually thunderbolt and arrow, which can be seen on overstruck either on the Nike side or on the other side. The other side of the device was continued by Bhumak, as you can see in the next slide. Coins of Bhumak are found in much larger number as compared to Abhirak, and are known in copper as well as lead and copper-lead alloys. The most common type issued by him has the motifs of thunderbolt and arrow and Kharoshthi inscription Chaharatas Kshatrapas Bhumakasa Jayatasa on one side, and this so-called lion wheel, plowshare wheel standard, and Brahmi inscription Chaharatas Kshatrapas Bhumakasa Jayatasa on the reverse. Now we come to the next Kshatrapa ruler, and perhaps the most important one, who is Nahapan. Nahapan is not only known to us from his numerous coins, but also from several inscriptions of his son-in-law Rishabdat or Ushabdat at Nasik and his minister Ayama at Junnar. It was actually Nahapan who greatly expanded the Kshatrapa kingdom, and he seems to have controlled southern Gujarat, western Malwa and northern Konkan from Broch to Sopara and the Nasik, Pune districts of Maharashtra. Although his date has been a subject of great debate, it is now generally accepted that he ruled in the second half of 1st century CE, and the years mentioned in his inscriptions, which range from 41 to 46, are in fact his regnal years. Nahapan's rule is important because it was him who started a silver currency in Western India, bearing the bust of the king on the obverse and weighing about 2.1 to 2.2 gram. This was a coin type which was continued not only by the rulers of the next family of Western Kshatrapa rulers, but by many other dynasties in the region for the next 400-500 years. So in Western India, starting with Nahapan, we find a continuous series of small silver coins which were called gram being issued till the time of Guptas and even slightly later by the Kalachuris and so on forth. Nahapan modeled his silver coins probably on the coins of Indo-Greek ruler Apollodotus II. As you can see in this slide, on the left is a coin of Apollodotus II, which has a bust to right and a Greek inscription. On the reverse, it's the Pallas Athena standing to left, and there is a Kharoshti inscription. Nahapan similarly used the bust facing right on the obverse, and there was a Greek inscription around it. On the reverse, instead of standing Athena, he used his own dynastic emblems, that is thunderbolt and arrow. And there are Brahmi inscriptions which reads Ragyo Chaharatas Nahapanas, and Kharoshti inscription which reads Rayo Chaharatas Nahapanas. Now it is this type which does not show much variation except for a few coins, which was overstruck by the Satvahan ruler Gautamiputra Satkarni, who was perhaps a later contemporary of Nahapan. And as you can see on this slide, there is a symbol of arched hill which is overstruck on the bust, and there is a symbol which we call Ujjain symbol, which is overstruck on the reverse, and there is an inscription around the hill in Brahmi which reads Rayo Gautami Putasa Satakanisa. Apart from silver, Nahapan issued many types of coins in base metals like copper, bronze, arsenical bronze, or which is sometimes referred to as poteen, and lead. Many of these were in fact influenced by Satvahan coin types, and they were issued in those regions which earlier belonged to the Satvahans, and then Nahapan issued them in typological continuation of those types. In fact, in the Nevasa pattern region and the adjoining regions of Maharashtra, many Satvahan coin types have been found that are overstruck by Nahapan, and then Nahapan issued his own coins in the same typology with his own motifs and inscriptions in those regions. Now here you can see some of the base metal coins issued by Nahapan. One of the types has a bust facing right like on his silver coins, and there is a Brahmi inscription Rayo Kshatrapas Nahapanas, and on the reverse it has thunderbolt and arrow, and again a Brahmi inscription around. Another type has elephant standing to right and a thunderbolt laterally placed above its back, and sometimes an arrow in front, and on the other side there is a tree with bicellular leaves in railing. This is a type that was perhaps influenced, or that was in typological continuation of some of the Satvahan coins that are found at Nasik. At Junnar in Maharashtra, there was a particular type issued by the Satvahans. These coins have a maned lion standing to left on the obverse facing a plowshare standard in railing and other symbols, and then there is a Brahmi inscription around giving the name and title of Satvahan rulers. Nahapan typologically continued this type at Junnar, maybe after capturing the place from the Satvahans, and his coins are issued both in arsenical copper as well as lead at this site, and they have a similar maned lion standing left facing a plowshare standard, and there is a three-arched hill between the legs of the lion, and there is a reverse symbol below the hill, And on the other side, the motifs of the Kshatrapas like thunderbolt, arrow are there. In addition, another symbol seen here is a strung bow and arrow. On the obverse, there is a Brahmi inscription which reads Rayo Mahakhatapasa Nahapanasa. Here the term Mahakhatapasa was perhaps used by Nahapan for the first time, because this is a title that is not seen on his silver coins. Then the example of coins from Nevasa, Paitan and adjoining areas are very interesting and illustrative, because this shows that there was a long drawn out struggle between Nahapan and the Satvahans. One of the types in this area issued by the Satvahans have an elephant standing to right with trunk upraised and Brahmi inscription above, and on the other side there is a tree with big leaves in railing. Now this particular type was issued by the Satvahans in bronze. What Nahapan did was to overstrike these coins with his own motifs, that is thunderbolt and arrow, and similar tree as seen on the Satvahan coins on the other side. Sometimes the Nahapana's inscriptions are seen, sometimes they are not. And then not only did he overstrike these coins, but on the pattern of these coins he issued coins in similar metals, similar weight range, with his own motifs of thunderbolt and arrow on one side and a similar tree in railing on the other side. Nahapan also overstruck some other Satvahan coin types which usually have, these are small coins and they usually have 6-asked hill on one side along with a fragmentary Brahmi inscription and tree in railing on the other side. And then there is another type which has an Ujjain symbol on one side and tree in railing on the other side. So on the pattern of these rectangular or square coins, Nahapan issued his own coins having his own motifs of thunderbolt and arrow on one side and similar tree in railing on the other. Now we come to the last reported Kshatrapas ruler whose coins have only very recently been published. These are very interesting coins because they show the bust on the obverse similar to Nahapan or the next Western Kshatrapa ruler of another family called Chashtan on the obverse. The reverse is different from Nahapana's silver coins in the sense that these do not bear the Kshatrapa motifs of thunderbolt and arrow. Instead, these coins have a bold sun and crescent symbol along with Brahmi and Kharoshti inscription which reads Ragyo Kshatrapas Horumonatasa. So on the one hand, it has the family name Kshatrapa which links this ruler to the other Kshatrapa rulers like Abhirak, Bhumak and Nahapan. On the other side, it has the motifs of sun and crescent which link it to the next Western Kshatrapa ruler, Chashtan. The next family of Western Kshatrapa rulers was the Kardamakas. They are also sometimes known as Bhadramukhas. It was one of the most prominent and long-lasting families of Sak rulers who controlled vast areas of Western India for nearly 300 years. Now, names of more than 30 rulers of this family are known from the coins issued by them. These rulers do not use the family name Kardamaka on their coins, and it is actually known from a Satvahan inscription from Kanheri. This is why sometimes these rulers are described as the line of Chashtan after the first ruler of this family. Now, Chashtan issued coins which are quite similar to those of Nahpan. Like Nahpana's coins, Chashtana's coins also have a bust wearing a flat cap to write and a Greek inscription which sometimes is fairly good and legible, sometimes corrupt like on the coins of Nahpan. On the reverse, Chashtan issued his own motifs which are a bold sun and crescent symbol, and then later on, and that became more common, he added the symbols of three-peaked hill with a crescent above and a river below. The inscriptions are both in Brahmi and Kharoshthi on the reverse, and numerous varieties have been found. The most common ones have Ragyo Kshatrapas Chashtanasa in Brahmi and Rayo Kshatrapasa Chatanasa in Kharoshthi. Some of his coins actually give the name of the father, like you can see on this slide where it reads Ragyo Kshatrapas Yasmotik or Gasmotik Putras Chashtanasa in Brahmi, and Kharoshthi inscription is a short one which sometimes says Rayo Chatha or Chatanasa and so on. Similarly, he issued coins with the higher title of Mahakshatrap. So the Mahakshatrap coins would read Ragyo Mahakshatrapas Gasmotik Putras Chashtanas. What is important to remember is that the basic typology, coin typology, established by Chashtan was continued with minor changes by more than 30 rulers for more than 300 years in the Western India region. From the time of Rudradaman I, who is one of the most famous Western Kshatrap rulers and the grandson of Chashtan, Kharoshthi inscription was removed from the reverse of the coins, and Greek inscription became corrupt and meaningless and came to be repeated merely as an ornamental border and part of the design, coin design, around the bust of the king. From the time of Rudrasimha I, who was the youngest son of Rudradaman I, a very novel practice of inscribing date in Brahmi numerals behind the bust began. And this was followed by all the succeeding rulers. And this is a concept which is seen only in this series of coins. The unique features of the Western Kshatrap silver coins is that they have a very long Brahmi inscription. And these inscriptions from the time of Rudradaman I not only give the title and names of the issuer, but also the name and title of his father. So when coins of all the rulers are arranged, we get the entire political genealogy. The dating practice started at the time of Rudrasimha I and then followed by his successors, make these coins a unique series in ancient Indian coinage history, as no other series in ancient India are so regularly dated. Although the era in which these coins are dated is not mentioned, it is generally accepted that these dates are in the Shak era, which commenced in 78 AD. Now, many scholars believe that it was actually the regnal reckoning of Chashtan, the first ruler of this family, and which was followed by his successors, that later came to be known as the Shak era. Now we shall have a look at some of these Western Kshatrap silver coins. Like here you can see the coins of Rudradaman, and if you see the Brahmi inscription, it reads Ragyo Kshatrapas Jayadamas Putras Ragyo Mahakshatrapas Rudradamasa. Now this means that this is a coin of King Mahakshatrap Rudradaman, who is the son of King Kshatrap Jayadaman. So it gives the title and name of the father as well as the title and name of the issuer. And when you arrange coins of all the rulers, known rulers of this family, you get the entire political genealogy. And therein lies the importance of these coins. Now this is a coin of Rudrasimha first, who was the youngest son of Rudradaman, and he started the practice of putting date in Brahmi numerals behind the head. So behind the head and around it, you will notice some meaningless Greek letters, and in between you will find the date, and the earliest date is perhaps year 100. And if you think that this is, or as is usually believed, that this is in Shakera, so you add 78 to it and you get the date in the Christian era or the common era. So if it is 100, this would mean that this coin was issued in 178 AD. Now a few words about how the dates were inscribed. Here the dates were written like, if suppose 174 needs to be written, so they would write the sign for 100, then the sign for 70, and this is the sign for 4. So in effect it would 100 plus 70 plus 4. Now over a period of about 300 plus years, only slight changes in the coin typology are seen. So initially you have a 3-arched or 3-peaked hill in the center with a crescent above. On the left you find another crescent. On the right you have initially a rayed sun with rays coming out of it. There is a river sign below, and then there is a long Brahmi inscription containing 30 odd letters. Then gradually, after say 5-6 rulers, you find that the rayed sun starts becoming a dotted sun. Then again later in the time of a ruler called Rudrasimha II, you find that the crescent that was on top of the 3-arched hill gets shifted to left. So in effect there are 2 small crescents on the left side, because on this ruler's coin the inscription commenced or started at 12 o'clock and it began with the word Swami Jividam, and so on. Swami Jividam Putras Ragya Kshatrapas Rudrasihasa. This is the inscription that is found on his coins. So Swa was a longer letter, and the die cutter found that he could not accommodate the hill, so he shifted it to left side, and that became part of the design. And then slightly later, in the time of Rudrasena III, the 2 crescents on the left side continued, but an additional word in it, Swami, came to be added to the coin inscription, which was actually in addition to the other titles like Ragyo Mahakshatrapasa. So the inscription became much longer, and then this continued till the end, and the last ruler of this family is Rudrasimha III, and the latest date on his coins that have been reported is actually year 337, which when converted to the common era gives the date of 415 AD. So that is in the 5th century AD. And after that, we do not find the Kshatrapa coins, because by that time they were replaced by the Guptas in the Western India. Now, as far as base metal coins of this family of the Western Kshatrapa rulers is concerned, they do not show a continuity as their silver coin does. Some rulers in the beginning of the dynasty issued many different types of copper, arsenical, bronze, lead coins, but they probably stopped after the reign of Dam Sen, who is dated between 222 to 238 CE. And it was again from the time of Rudrasena III, who is dated to about 348 to 378 CE, that a lead coin series was again started, and which was continued by all his successors, and they were in fact followed by the Guptas, in the sense that the Guptas initially issued a similar type of coins, and then based on that typology they modified it, but the sign of a typological continuation can be clearly seen there. Yeah, here you are a few types. Like initially Chashtan and Rudradaman, they have issued copper and lead coins which have the bold crescent and sun symbol motif on one side, and a 6-arched hill with a crescent above and a river below on the other side, and they have inscriptions in Brahmi and Kharoshthi. Then there was a brother of Chashtan who issued a coin type which has a horse facing right and similar hill and other ancillary symbols on the reverse. Then there are many other types which have a bull and hill plus ancillary symbols with Brahmi inscriptions, or elephant on one side and hill, 3-arched hill, and the crescent and sun symbol and Brahmi inscription on the other side. There are a few others which were issued in that bronze, or it is sometimes called potine, or it is actually also referred to as arsenical copper, which have a humped bull standing right, and sometimes a date is seen above that, and on the other side you have again that hill plus ancillary symbol device. There are other coins which have a bull standing facing frontally within a dotted border, and sometimes there is an inscription around, sometimes they are uninscribed. There are coins issued by 3-4 rulers which are in bronze or copper. They have an elephant standing on one side and 3-arched hill with other associated minor symbols, and date in Brahmi numerals below. So it is on the basis of those dates that they are attributed to the respective rulers. Now this is the type which was started late in the time of Rudrasena III, which has a humped bull standing on a platform, and again a hill device with associated symbols, and date in Brahmi numerals below. And these coins are in lead, and these coins are found in very large numbers, and this is the type which I said earlier was later typologically continued by the Guptas. Now as far as the scripts and languages used on the Western Kshatrapa coins are concerned, we have seen the scripts included Greek, which soon became corrupt and meaningless. Then Kharoshthi, which was also discontinued after a certain period, and Brahmi, which remained the most important of all the scripts. The language used for writing the coin inscriptions is usually a hybrid Prakrit with that mixture of Sanskrit, and there are some rare coins where you can see the pure Sanskrit inscriptions also. Now, just to conclude and to summarize, we can say that Western Kshatrapa coinage is a quite remarkable one for at least the following reasons. It continued for a very long time with fairly standard fineness. It was probably the only silver coinage that was issued in the country between 1st and 5th centuries CE. The silver currency in the north actually had stopped being issued by the 1st century CE. So this is the only currency in the country which is issued in this time. This is the only series in ancient India that was regularly dated. The practice of putting dates otherwise became common only in medieval times on the Islamic type of coinage. Now, this is a very remarkable series of coins for showing the usefulness of coins for the reconstruction of the political history. Yeah, one important point about the Western Kshatrapa silver coins is that they maintained a fairly good standard of metal quality over a very long period of time. Some analysis has been done on the silver content of these coins, and those studies have revealed that these coins started with a very high fineness of 98% in the coins of Napan, and the average was about 94-95%, and then they continued with a slight drop in metal content, but maintaining the weight during the next 100-200 years. And in effect, when you come to the end of the series, you find an average of 80%. So over a period of about 400 years, there is a drop of about 14% in the average mean fineness of or purity of these silver coins. But at no time you see a drastic drop, which shows that there was a very slow drop in the fineness, which was because of maybe the rise in the price of the silver over a period of time. And this also indirectly indicates that this coinage was perhaps very popular in the trade circles. And this is in fact indicated by their finds, because these coins are not only confined to the area of influence of the Western Kshatrapa rulers, that is the Western India. Some hoards have been found in Andhra Pradesh, some hoards have been found in Vidarbha, some hoards have been found in Karnataka, and stray coins have been reported from many far off places as well. So these coins were valued by the traders in the trade circles, and they were carrying it to other places also. And this is the reason that this currency had become so well entrenched in the Western India, that when other dynasties came to or replaced the Western Kshatrapa rulers, like the Guptas did it first in Malwa and then in Gujarat, they did not think of issuing entirely new type of coins in silver. Instead, they continued with the typology, and like the Western Kshatrapa silver coins, they issued similar shape, similar weight coins in silver, where they have the ruler's bust on the obverse, and on the reverse they have their own motif of Garud standing facing, and with their own inscriptions. But to a layman, they appeared similar, and that was the basic purpose of typological continuation. Thank you very much. Now, for more information, you can visit the website of EBG Pathshala. Thank you.